Hello, good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. So we're going to be talk about accelerating revenue. I want to make a little assessment of our audience. How many here operate a practice for less than 5 years? Anybody? Okay, so we have a few. So some are more established. Okay. First, I want to introduce myself. So I'm the founder of ParaDocs. So we do podiatry billing, exclusive for podiatry throughout the United States. So through this 20 years experience of work with podiatry, I put together a book that's called The Business Side of Podiatry Revenue. It's a quick to read book where I go through different aspects of running a podiatry practice where your revenue can be affected. Okay. So now that you know a little bit about my background, where this information that I'm going to share with you is coming from. So let's dive into accelerated revenue. So let's start with the beginning, your location. Where is your practice located affect with your revenue? So the scope of a practice, yesterday I was in a coding tabletop discussion, and then there is actually there saying that Alabama, they changed the scope of the practice, just recently. So now they can expand, up to the knee. So that's something that you need to be aware, because that changes how you practice, change the service that you're providing. So you need to be aware where you're located and how far can you go. I see on the billing side, sometimes doctors doing surgery that is out of the scope. Then we fought, and then the doctor go in front of a judge, trying to explain why it is sensitive for them to do that procedure. And then at the end, with so much time and effort, and still the doctor didn't win. So it's very important to know how far can you go within your practice and your location. Then we need to consider your audience. So it's your practice at PPO, or it's your practice more like HMOs. Also change your game, right? It's like an HMO, they cannot afford, much, self-pay, or, you have a limitation, you cannot charge the co-insurance if it's a Medicare Advantage. So you needed to know the audience on that population that you are working with. I work with a doctor that he's in a Medicaid area. He's not happy. He's trying to come out of the Medicaid, but it's a challenge because he can't find the audience with commercial payers that he wish having his practice. And then we have like Medicare patients. I work with a doctor that she doesn't want to treat Medicare patients. Said, no Medicare patients for me. I want to treat out-of-network insurance patients. So she strategically looking at a location where she can attract those patients to her. She successfully accomplished that and expanded, her office to, taking care of this. Amazing, but it's a strategy that she implanted. She just not like land in a location that she got that. So something that you need to think about when you are getting your location set. So consideration that you need to have. If you're starting a practice, I'm going to go through this a little quick, because when you start from scratch, it's more work. You need to define your protocols. You need to set your team. You need to choose your technology, equipment that you're going to buy, the software you're going to use, your connections, your associations, your vendors, your staff, not just recruiting a staff, but scratch, from scratch right down the staff, how they should do the tasks. And then you're in existing practice. It's not just like, okay, I'm landed this existing practice, fantastic, now I just go to work. No, there is a lot of work in there as well, which you need review the protocols, make this practice look like it's yours, right? So put your stamp in there. And then the technology, sometimes the practice, when you buy a practice, they have an old technology that you need to upgrade. And then the type of services. Work with the doctor that she got a practice more routine food care. And then she doesn't want to do much routine food care. She want to bring more advanced services into her practice. But it's a work to change the this audience that she is establishing her practice in the market. No matter how your startup practice is, make sure that you set yourself with a team that support you. I think the big time consume and less reward when you are trying to do yourself everything. So you book the patient appointments, and then you set it up the room, you're seeing this patient, and you're cleaning this room. So it's a lot on your shoulder. So if you're starting a practice, I recommend just you have the time, put together your team, because this is time consuming to have your team set it up. So use this time as a startup to have your structure, your foundation built. Now we move to fee schedule. So I suggest keep simple. Use Medicare as reference. So some docs, they go to Medicare fee 20%. I call it this conservative. I'm a little bit more aggressive on that point. Some goes to 50% of Medicare. I suggest going double for Medicare fee. Why that suggestion is, let's say you call somebody to paint in your room, right? And the person, you set up a budget $500. So I have $500 to paint in this room. You call somebody and they say, okay, I will paint for $300. Would you give the $500 for that person? Anybody would give you the $500 instead of $300 that was asked? No, I wouldn't, you know. So I would save it that extra. And it's similar with the insurance. So if you send a claim, you know, they have a schedule to pay for whatever is this service, $500. But then you are billing $300. So they're going to pay what you ask for. So, and they will save them money. So that's why I suggest it to be aggressive, double Medicare fee, because then you're going to try to reach the higher amount of the fee schedule that you are contracted with. Now, just go back here. Some doctors that I hear said, I don't want to charge double for Medicare fee because I don't want my write-off to be too high. So my question is, why are you afraid of write-off being too high? You know that your fee is high, so get your write-off. Understand that you're going to have a high write-off because of that. So set your expectation based on your fee, okay? So other ways that you can accelerate and increase your revenue. So if you participate in Medicare MIPS, so you can increase or decrease your revenue. I work with doctors that say, why is my Medicare paying less for my routine for care? My question is, did you report MIPS on the past 2 years? Oh, I don't think I did. So then affect the fee schedule. So that's something that you need to consider when you are on your fees. Then there is ACOs, which group of doctors, different specialties, they come together to care for the health of the patients. So when the patients get better and then they save money to Medicare, the savings is shared through the group. We work with doctors that participate in ACOs and does get extra higher reimbursement. And there is IPA. Is there anybody here participating in IPA? You do? So IPA, it's also a great way to bring your fee schedules up with the insurance. IPA, it's usually doctors participating in IPA through hospitals because, you know, the IPA, they negotiated a higher fee. So look on your region if you know an IPA that you can be part of. So IPA, just keep in mind, they want to negotiate a higher fee for you in exchange of information. So basically, they will ask you to submit the claims via some payer. So they want to see, you know, the patient's diagnostic, the procedure that you're providing. So they want information from you. In exchange, they negotiate a higher insurance rate for you. Yeah.
IPA, is that done under your tax ID or is there a group tax ID for that?
They have the group tax ID. So you get in that group. So your claims goes through the insurance within that group, under your tax ID, you know. And also set your fee schedule structure for no cover service, you know, or denials, or the patient does not have benefits or is uninsured. It's simple, but it's interesting how many podiatrists do not have those fees established. So when the patient comes, that you need to charge cash, and there is a confusion, how much I'm going to charge, you know? So have your front office prepare when the patient call and say, how much I'm going to pay this out of the pocket. And also special instructions, you know, the patient wanted the medical record printed. Go ahead.
Sorry, that is such a big thing. I just wanted to know, what, in your experience with all the people that you work with, what is the norm for non-covered services? For, you know, how are they addressing an insured patient?
Yes, so I suggest match, you know, Medicare fee if you are in Medicare, because that's the simple way to do it. But if you feel like Medicare fee for specific service is not make it, you know, not reward you appropriately, you can adjust that fee, you know. So because we charge high, so we double Medicare fee. I consider high, but I work with doctors that is in the IPA that we do 4 times Medicare. So, but double, that's high for the regular, you know, doctor that is not in IPA. But so when we charge a full fee to the patient, I feel my end is not fair, you know, like this doctor get a Medicare fee. I think it's just fair, you know, the medical level. But it's up to each practitioner to make this decision they practice. And also prepare for those cases that I will tell you, like when we sign up a doctor, most of the time, it's very rare when a practice, we ask those fees and they don't have it. What do you charge for no-show? Oh, I never thought about it, you know? Or you don't have to charge, but what's your no-show policy?
The medical records fee, that's like the PREOX or CEOX or whatever it is, what do people typically charge to allow them to access those and come and be out?
I see, they put it on the memory stick. The patient may have the portal access and they can have it, but many patients, they don't sign up to the portal. So they ask for, they put it in memory stick and then they charge not much, like $10 or $20, depends on the practice.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm referring to what, like...
For chart reviews.
Chart reviews?
Oh, per page. Oh, yes, the auditing. Yes, per patient. I don't recall right now the fee, but we do work with a doctor that we got paid like over $1,000 to chart review that we were requested for that. But I don't remember how much it is per page. $45. Yeah.
I do 75 and I get paid.
Yeah.
75? Thank you. Anybody go higher?
But there are some
chart.
states, like guidelines as well, that the state can only allow you to charge a certain amount per chart. You have to really.
Anybody in Florida? 75? Thank you.
I would go higher, you know, and then if they ask you to, they cap it for some reason, you know, and you see the amount, if it's worth the time of your staff, you know. So, yeah. But I would not like shy away just because they had a cap, you know. I would bill and then write it off, or, you know, bounce a fee check, you know, for those that accept check in your office, what's your fee for bounce and fee? Late payment, do you charge a rebilling fee? What's your protocol if you keep sending statements and the patient is not paying? So things that to think about and establish in your practice. You don't have to do those things, but think about and make a decision, you know, how you want to address those issues. So be proactive. So that's a way to boost your revenue. So when you are billing patients for trying to collect this past balance, cost you money, and the aggravation. Patient complain. Patient is, why did not, if I knew that was not covered, I would not have done that. Did anybody get this type of comment? You know, pretty common. So be proactive, you know. So collect deposit up front, you know. And one thing that I repeat to all the clients that I work with, collect signed ABNs. So does everybody here collect ABNs?
That's only a Medicare patient.
I'm going to address that right now. So this is the ABN for Medicare. So Medicare did this form, and that this image is not the best, but you can get this form on the Medicare website. Okay, so Medicare wants you to use that form for ABN. You're not required to use, it's totally up to you. I highly recommend, okay? What this ABN does is list the service and the reason the patient might get denied and the amount that the patient will be responsible.
I've heard a lot of things. So Cindy, clinical practice manager, she talks a lot about this. So the reason not to pay has to be very specific and legitimate. It can't be. It gets confusing. Like why am I giving somebody an ABN when the odds are they're going to be covered? What do you suggest putting in that e-column?
Yeah, go ahead. You want to say something? Did you raise your hand? No, I thought you did. So it can be same and similar, can be not covered by your service. What Medicare objected is if you turn it to them, this report with any blanket, if there is any field that is not filled up, then they will null it. They will treat like you have no ABN on file. So make sure that every field is filled up, okay? And have the amount there. I do see doctors make patients sign ABN blanket, nothing filled up, and the patient sign. I'm surprised that the patient signed that. Said, how you sign like you agree to pay something that is not listed in here? But the patients, they do sign, and I see doctors requesting that. So I don't think it's fair for the patient, because then the patient is not really aware of the charge that might come, and that's create a problem later. The patient will be upset. So use these to communicate with the patients. Now, when you are doing, so this question was, can I use only for Medicare? So this form is specific for Medicare. However, commercial payers, they don't care which form do you use to have this written, your financial agreement with the patient. So if you get the ABN, you cannot use exactly this form because you're going to read that it's Medicare written all over. But you can get this verbiage of this form and then apply to your practice, remove the Medicare name, and then use for commercial payers, okay? In my experience, we use the verbiage ABN for commercial. They know what you talk about, but you can call this waiver of liability, financial agreement, but we speak with the payers, commercial payers, and the patient get upset because, for example, our TOTEC is not covered. The patient called the insurance upset, the doctor billed them for not covered TOTEC. The insurance denied as contract obligation. So now we bill the patient. We got a 3-way call with the insurance and the patient saying you needed to write this off because we deny its contract obligation. Having this on file, we say, no, we don't need to write it off. We have a financial agreement with the patient that the patient agree the responsibility of it. And then that was the end of the conversation. And then the insurance takes with the patient. Some cases they do reverse the denial and pay. Some cases they stand for the denial, but that's a tool for us. So we are not forced to write it off a service.
Can you give an example of when you would typically use that? Are you talking about DME stuff, or are you talking about
everything like service? Like for example, we have Aetna denying E&M bundled with routine foot care. So then while we discussed with our doctor, said get the ABNs for Aetna patients for these E&Ms, and then we use it, So depends on this. If you're doing a surgery, you can do it. It's a financial agreement between you and the patient. So if you have a problem with the insurance and you're aware of it, that there is a chance of denial, I would say be proactive and then apply this ABN.
You don't have a problem with attrition because of that, like losing? So that's your example, at the patient because he built an E&M and then they denied it for whatever reason they had. The patients aren't furious, you don't have a problem.
No, because the practice have a conversation up front. They say we having this problem with Aetna, they are not paying. So if they don't process, you're gonna get a bill with that. We feel it's more patients more cooperative if we have this conversation than if later we bill the patient and it comes a surprise. So one other thing is when you're doing these financial agreements, besides have these upfront conversations, you're in compliance with the No Surprise Bill Act. which protect the patient from a surprise charge. So be ahead of the curve. So when I talk about bringing money up front into your practice. So 80% of podiatrists, I wish, in the future, starts to remove this slide from my presentation, because podiatrists are really, most of them not comfortable to collect those payments up front. So the lack of patient policy most of the time, so patient billing policy. When we present the patient AR, and then we show your AR is going, how are we going to approach? There is no policy for approach patient AR. And then, and the staff is unprepared to collect those payments. So the patient keep return, the balance keep rolling, and then nothing's happening about it. So we are very good at podiatry having discussions with the insurance AR, which is great, but we need to have discussion about patient AR as well, because there is a shift of healthcare since Obamacare, right? So there is I remember 20 years ago that copay was, you would just say, come here. I don't know who was in practice 20 years ago, but come here, waive your copay, and it would be all good. Copay was like $10, $5, no big deal. The doctor would be financially fine with the insurance payment. That is not happening now. 40%, up to 40% of your revenue comes from the patient payments. So you need to watch out for those, So there are doctors that these payment, the percentage is lower, and these payments can be, around 40. So it depends how your patient audience and also how you handle those patients' balances. I'm going to show an example here. I don't think you guys can see the numbers in here, but the Praxis X, the AR, patient AR, 121 days has $149,000. And the Praxis Y, 121 days, the patient AR is $1,000. What's the difference of this Praxis? Well, most are going to say, well, Praxis Y does not see much patient. That's not true. Praxis Y is as busy as Praxis X. The difference is Praxis Y collects upfront payment and is watching this AR. Praxis Y has a policy when this patient comes to the office, there is a balance, they collect the payment. They don't let the patient out without, negotiate or do something about the balance. Praxis Y, the patient hits 61 days, they are calling the patient, they are taking proaction to make sure these payments in here.
What's an acceptable rebilling?
Well, we do like $20, $10, and then we will waive that fee if the patient will say, oh, I missed the statement, can I pay? And then they ask for a waiver, we waive it, because the reason for the billing fee is to push the patient to pay. It's not like looking for the revenue out of it. So
is it at 90 days or 60?
We do after the second, but not for all doctors. Not everybody's comfortable with that. So it depends how you want. If you decided to do that, make sure that you have this informed on the patient policy. So the patient is aware that if there is delayed paying, there is an extra fee. I like to call this payment up front as a reward approach. So the reward approach is when the payment is paid towards the visit. Just think about the patient has a deductible. You check eligibility to see the patient has $5,000 deductible. What is the chance you're going to send a bill to that patient? 100%. So why are you going to wait to send that bill to the patient to get your money? So get right there at the visit. And then I call reward because instead of you send out a statement, you're going to send out a check. I would be much happier to get a check from my doctor than to get a bill, So then the patient get happier than, you keep, hunting them for payment. So let's side by side. So most of doctors, not like the ones that have like the traditional policy for patient AR, they collect payment. They have collection company. So when you sign up for a collection company, that has additional fees. And collection companies, they're expensive. They're going to charge, I see 13%, 15%. So that was additional. So besides your original billing costs, you're going to have additional fee on that money that you're going to now try to hunt. So the patient get upset because now the patient going to have collection letter, collection calls, that's not comfortable. And then you're going to get more likely to get bad reviews, I've seen doctors getting bad review because the patient was in the review saying, I went to the practice, I tried to make payment, and they didn't, and then put all this bad review about the doctor. And the doctor is, wow, super upset. And we look it up, this patient went to the practice several times, and this balance was rolling, nobody tried to collect. When the doctor dropped this patient to collection, so that's when the patient now is putting bad review. So you need to be aware of all these negative approaches, a stress to your staff, to everybody. But if you work with the reward, so you don't have rebilling costs, you don't even need to send a statement most of part. And then eliminate, you don't need to deal with collections. Let's say the practice that has $1,000, 121 days, it's, sometimes it's cheaper to write it off, because you're not losing much, It's more expensive if you're having like 120, just think about, if you have $120,000 on your AR, like the practice Y, and you're gonna pay 13%, what is cheaper, to write it off 1,000 or pay 13% of 15% of 100,000, And the patient will be super happy, because they're gonna more likely to give positive reviews online. Any question about the patient up front? We're gonna move it to the billing flow. So your revenue is great. You send your claims, your biller match everything, fantastic, you get paid. But how about your compliancy? Because if you submitted those bills and you get paid, and then your notes do not support, you're likely to have a refund this money. So he's starting practice, he never went through auditing. That's something that is normal, it's part of a business. So your notes should comply. You write your notes with vision of an auditor, which is not a medical doctor. You'll be reading it. So it needs to be very simple. What I see in medical notes that fail audits, lack of details. So there is no site. Like, for example, a doctor is doing routine foot care, 1720 and G0127. The insurance say, no, it's bundle. And then we need to send notes, and the notes does not show which toll was that done that to justify both procedures. It's obvious, but it's very common. So just look at your notes, make sure that you put the details in there. Who is doing wound? The wound, the type of the wound measurement. How many wounds are you taking care? The type of drainage that is on the wound, the stage. So these details are so important for the reimbursement, I should not say for reimbursement, to keep your money so you can pass the audit and then be good. Signing medical notes. What do we see recently that Medicare was audited these docs that had so many no compliance, and then Medicare turned to us and said, this is not even mentioned the notes that was not signed within a reasonable time. These notes were signed past 6 months. So what happened is Medicare, they don't have a time frame when your notes should be written. Medicare guidelines say it should be signed within a reasonable time, and then consider that you're gonna get your scriber, in a few days for you to read your scriber. So, but Medicare understands if you sign your notes past months after the visit, your notes are not accurate. They say, how can this doctor remember what happened in that room 6-7 months ago? So they say, this is not accurate. So it's my first time having this experience with Medicare, questioning the time of the signature. but then could bring awareness for us that maybe we start pushing in that direction. I don't know. But, you know, if you can have your notes signed within a week from the visit, aim to that. Another problem that I see, which leads to refund money, pre-billing. And you know, at Podiatry, there's a lot of pre-billing with the custom orthotic. So custom orthotic, the patient come and get casted. So doctors bill for casting, A4590, S0395, and then bills for L3000, the orthotic and dispense, all in the same visit. So if it's a custom, you cannot bill for all for these on the same visit. So you only can bill the orthotic out when you dispense it. So these visits should be split in two. So that's important, or your notes will not be compliance and refund money. And I see this happening many times. Supporting documentation. So all the documentations that goes supporting this billing, that documentation needed to be on file, you know, for pre-auditing and also post-payment audit. So make sure that all this, your dispensing form, you know, ABNs, keep everything available right after that visit. So I'm just skipping these here. I only have 5 minutes to finish because I want to bring it up here. Well, who received a credit card payment, do not, you know, call the credit card, the paper comes, who issued the credit card, say, I don't want to pay to get paid, so please send me a EFT or check, reject those payments.
What does that mean? I don't understand what you just.
The insurance is send a credit card.
Oh, yeah.
In order for you to get paid,
so
you need,
have to pay the percentage.
right, exactly. Okay, the insurance send letters requesting a refund. Do not send those refunds, you know. You can dispute that. Unless the insurance paying duplicated, if it's not a duplicated payment, so you dispute that. It's a big business that United Healthcare collected 430 million in returning money. So that's like a revenue maker for them. So watch out for those letters, respond on time, and dispute. You know, we turn around so many. So don't, many times doctors sit on these, they don't know what to do. They send the check, do not send the check, you know, because they sometimes double dip. There's a doctor that send a check to Medicare, and then Medicare offset, and we were 1 year to have this money back. So do not send the money because they might offset you, and then it's a problem. Review your measures. Okay, so this is a track. You track, it knows your key measures, you know, see where you are on track, and then go back to your cycle and make adjustments. Okay, that's your AR and the insurance review. Know your denials so you can be proactive. Oh, insurance is denied for ENN. I will put an ABN for that insurance. So you know what to do. So it's very important for you to participate in what's happening in your AR. And that's all that I have. Thank you, everybody.